Girl, yes, I am in $63,000 worth of debt, most of that being credit card debts. Casey, I'm a 30-year-old mom of two who also owns a mini farm, and my husband and I moved to our dream house in 2023. And since then, and even before then, I have racked up a ridiculous amount of credit card debt because I like to make myself feel better by buying things that I probably shouldn't.
I already know this is about to be an interesting one, but my first thought is that's actually relatable. A lot of people do that. How many people do you know that spend money just to make themselves feel better? We probably ourselves have likely done this at some point, just from having a bad day at work or just having a long day or just feeling like you want to treat yourself right. And I actually don't see anything wrong with that because we are human. We do have desires, but I also understand how dangerous this can be for a lot of people who may find themselves in a cycle of constantly spending because they are trying to find happiness in whatever it is that they're spending money on.
And I was living outside of my means, and I'm terrible with money. Well, I was terrible with money. I'll be the first to admit. So let's just lay all that out right now. I know that this is ridiculous. I know that I've put myself in a really shitty spot, but this is all my fault, and I have to take full responsibility. So I am putting myself out there to do these challenges, to do these series, to try to make money off of social media because I know it's possible. I've seen it change people's lives. And I just want to see if it'll work for me because I want to explore every possible avenue of trying to get out of this debt that I put myself in.
I actually love this. What I like is that she is taking accountability. This is one of my things. I can't stand when I watch videos of people who are in a situation and they point the finger at everybody else and they act as if they don't understand how they got there, as if they have no say in how their life is turned out, as if they have no say about how they spend money, as if they have no power. When in all actuality, we have a lot more power than we like to give ourselves credit for. So I like when people make videos and they're like, hey, it was me. Now, could there be other factors? Yes. But I think we're off to a good start. I'm feeling good about this one.
I also want to mark that my husband is very good with money and none of this is really his fault. The credit card debt is solely mine. There are 2 loans on here that both of us had agreed to, which I'll get into in a couple minutes. If you're not interested in learning about all the mistakes that I've made when it comes to financial stability and financial decisions, then you can just scroll on. But if you're someone who's struggling with your finances, stay put because you're not alone. And a lot of us are struggling out here.
And this is the important part. This is the part where a lot of people skip over, in my opinion. This is where you can really see yourself and say, do I do some of this stuff too? And I've never seen this video. But here we have somebody admitting that they are swimming in debt, married, seems to be the person in the marriage that is horrible with the money because she said her husband is good with the money, taking accountability for her actions, and about to tell you how she ended up in this situation. The best part is the how. A wise thing to do is to listen to the experiences of other people and not put yourself in the same situation. If you have tangible proof that for multiple people, these are the sort of outcomes that they get, and you can avoid them by any means, including just opening your ears for a second and listening to somebody else's story, I think it's worth it because it's free. This is free game. It's just like wanting to know the secrets of how to make a lot of money. I want to also know how to not lose a lot of money. I also want to know how not to end up in debt. And that's why it can be helpful to listen to other people's perspectives. Let's get into it.
I'm about $63,000 in the hole.
Okay.
And a lot of that being credit cards. So I have 3 credit cards. I have a Chase card, I have a CareCredit card, and I have an American Express, which I hate. The American Express card, I will put a side note in. We will be paying that off soon, thank God. My husband and I were able to get in a forbearance with our mortgage, which if you don't know that, it's where we have 6 months where we don't have to pay the mortgage and they tack it on our end of our mortgage loan. So we could save up 6 months worth of mortgage payments to pay off some debt. Get that card off soon, thankfully. So that will take away from the debt that I'm currently in. So if I take that debt away from the rounded up number of $63,000, because it's $62,929.71, if you want to be exact, I would only be about $56,000 in debt because I have about $6,400 on the Amex card. So the Chase card I've had pretty much my entire teenage adult life. My dad opened that credit card for me when I was in high school to put gas on just to start building my credit. Since then, obviously, I've used it for things that I didn't need. I have a CareCredit card that I use for all of our animals. All emergencies go with that, which I have about $4,400 on there between all 5 of our animals.
Now, she says she uses the Care card for her animals. Y'all, let me tell you something real quick. I had to take my dog to the vet multiple times this year. And I don't have pet insurance. I'm just being totally honest. Me and my husband just had to drop around $300 because her throat was swollen. We didn't know what was... I was thinking she had cancer. I didn't know what was going on with my dog. But I tell you what, I spent that money because that's my dog. And I know a lot of people have the same mentality when it comes to their dogs. I think if you can't afford having a dog, don't go out and get one, especially not in this economy. They are like children. They're very expensive. The minute that a vet bill comes up, you're going to do everything you can to save your dog. I know because I've done it. Pet insurance is great. My dog never had any issues before this year. I don't know what's going on. Additionally, she said that one of her parents opened up a credit card for her when she was younger so she could start to build credit, which I definitely think can be a good thing as long as you understand how to make sure you pay off your credit cards before the end of your billing cycle so you're not getting hit with the interest, making sure you're staying under your credit utilization under the proper amount. And I'm going to show you guys what that is. Now, this is according to chase.com, how much credit utilization is good. In this part of the article, it says, how much of my credit should I use? It says a general rule of thumb is to keep your credit utilization ratio below 30%. And if you really want to be an overachiever, aim for 10%. According to Experian, people who keep their credit utilization under 10% for each of their cards tend to have exceptional credit scores. And there are other factors, of course, that go into your credit score, like on-time payments, making sure you don't have late payments, making sure y'all are actually not having delinquencies and defaults on your credit history. So if you have a credit card that is $1,000, meaning that is how much you can use at the absolute most on that credit card. The max, if you want to have absolute credit according to Experian, that you should use is $100. And if you just wanted to stay within that good range of using 30% of the utilization, that would be $300 out of the $1,000. Now, a lot of people think, oh, I have a credit card, I can use the max amount. That is how you end up affecting your credit score. And you'll often see a big drop because you are utilizing way more credit than you should. And to be totally honest, some people do not need to have credit cards. And it's no attack on those people. Some people just don't know how to properly utilize the credit to where it doesn't affect them negatively. And additionally, they may not be the best with making sure they're making on-time payments.
So we do have a loan for a Generac. We did get a full house generator because in this house, we've lived here since October of 2023, and we have lost power almost every time we get a storm. And sometimes it's more for 24 hours. It could be even upwards of 72. The longest we were out of power was about 3.5 to 4 days. So after the third or fourth time that we lost power, we decided that we should look into a generator because it's something that made sense because we have 2 young kids. And I have animals in here, but that's about a $15,000 loan.
Whoa, $15,000 for the generator. But it actually makes sense. And I'm glad she brought that up. This is actually more so a hidden cost of being a homeowner because people have these sort of expenses that come up and you're just like, man, you may not think this is something you might have to deal with where you live or in your home, but these sort of things come up all the time. It could be a water heater. It could be your roof leaking, all sorts of stuff. So far, I'm hearing things that a lot of people can relate to. I'm liking where this is going.
You're going to think I'm stupid, but you have to hear me out. I have about $16,000, but that's about a $15,000 loan. Now, this next one I'm going to explain to you. Y'all are going to think I'm stupid, but you have to hear me out. I have about $16,400 worth of debt for windows in a house that I no longer live in. Previous house in Pennsylvania, when we moved in, it had been vacant for a year. The windows were probably older than I am, and they leaked and you could barely open them. So we decided to new windows through the entire house. And that was about an $18,000 feat. Obviously, we didn't have $18,000 to just pay somebody, so we got a loan.
And it sounds more like that previous house, either she sold it or maybe she's renting it out. I hope she was able to get the money back for it somehow, some way, if you get what I'm saying, like from the profits of her either selling the house or from her generating income from that home still. I don't think that was dumb at all. I think this is a cost of maintaining a home that many people probably don't think about.
When we moved out of that house into this house, the money that we made from the sale of our previous house where the windows are, we used that money to pay off our cars. So my husband and I don't have a car payment, which I'm extremely grateful for because we'd be out of this house at this point if we had a car payment.
And don't get another one. I'm sorry, that might be a little too... Y'all, I'm telling you, I say this as somebody who has owned the same car, drove the same car for 14 years. When you don't have that car payment no more, by all means necessary, if you can, please, please, please avoid getting another car loan, y'all. I understand there are situations where you absolutely need to get another car and you might need to get another car loan. But I'm telling you, the way that I play dodgeball with these car dealerships, I don't want you to touch me, don't want you to hit me up. Leave me alone. In my personal experience, and y'all, if this is you, please comment down below. I found the real freedom was not having a car note. There is no better feeling than driving around in something that you know is paid for, that you ain't got to worry about. You just think about the times where you was spending $200 a month and you just think, man, would have been nice if I could put this $200 to something else. Because a lot of people see it as though once they pay off a car, like they lost something. You gained freedom. You still have the car. Maintain the car, keep it running, get your oil changes, keep the maintenance up, rotate the tires, all that good stuff. Ride that thing until the wheels fall off. If you want to save money, I'm telling you, one of the easiest things you can do is not be a car hoarder. Cars are expensive. You got to worry about the maintenance on each of them cars. And then sometimes people get the worst cars. I'm just going to say it, y'all. They get a car to flex on people that these people don't even care about you, just so you can pull up and ride clean. Nobody really cares. They might actually look at you for about a week or so and be like, and they might be jealous. They might feel some envy. But at the end of the day, the feeling that other people get from how you pull up in your car shouldn't really mean nothing to you, because at the end of the day, whatever you deal with as far as your finances, you're on your own. So it ain't even worth to flex on nobody about a car, especially if you got to flex with interest. You're flexing with interest with a depreciating asset. With interest is crazy. That's wild. And I say this respectfully, worry about yourself. I don't care if you want everybody to think you made it by getting a car. That is not making it, y'all. We really have to stop. And I'm not saying this is what she did. I'm speaking to the general population, especially my people. Y'all know what I mean. Stop. We got to stop the foolishness. Having a car does not mean you made it. It is not a status symbol. A lot of the time, it's a debt symbol. And the older you get, you might actually see it as a symbol of, hey, I care what people think. Get you something reliable to get you from point A to point B. Forget all the silly stuff. Forget all the foolishness. I'm telling you, your wallet will thank you for it later.
Between our two car payments, we probably paid about $1,200 to $1,300 a month between the two cars. So we decided to take the money we made from the sale of our old house to pay off our cars, so we would have more money to go towards this mortgage, because the mortgage of this house is very high because we bought at a terrible time and our interest rate is 7%.
Ooh. Oh my. And you know what, to be fair, on the topic of home interest rates, what we experienced during the 2020 era of those extremely low interest rates, that was when I believe we got our first house. We locked in for them low rates. Definitely happy about that. Definitely was a blessing. A lot of people right now locking in around 8%. Unless you get in a new construction or something like that, you might get lucky and get like a 4.5%. But for right now, what she got is pretty standard, pretty normal. And I know a lot of y'all are about to argue with me about this in the comments. I'm not here to argue with you. You can join the army if you want to argue, because I got the stats. If we look at the historical data, right now we're hovering above 1971, where the average interest rate was 7.71%. Now, she said she was around that to like an 8%, I believe. And as you can see here, in the 80s, interest rates was in the teens, y'all, the teens. In 81, they're looking at 18% on a house for a home mortgage rate. And then after 1981, we see this drop start to happen, right? Like, I just couldn't imagine owning a home during this time. Then we get into the 80s, and then we get to the 90s. We're at the 9s now. We're not even to the 7s or 8s. We're in the 9s, in the 90s, and we're still dropping. We're dropping. In the 2000s, we're at 8.64%. Y'all, and we're still continuing to drop. And as you can see here, in 2021, we hit a 2.65%, the lowest point since 1971. And what do we see happening, y'all? We see it continuing to rise up again. Now, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm showing you here as proof that 2.65% that a lot of us want back. And trust me, I want it back too. It was not normal. These aren't the interest rates that our moms was getting, our grandparents were getting on their homes. It's just not the truth. And again, these are the fixed interest rates for the 30-year mortgages. Now, I want to show you guys something else that I thought was very interesting. Now, this is actually an article from Bankrate, and it says here mortgage rate history from 1970s to 2025. And the reason I want to show this to you guys real quick is because we're showing the same type of graph here, and this is from 82 to 2025. But what I think a lot of people look at is a graph just like this. This is what I really believe. People are looking at graphs from 2020, right before we hit that low bottom point that I was talking about, and then they just see this. This is the type of graph that I see more often than not when people are talking about interest rates being extremely high. And I wanted to point this out because it's all about perception. See, if I were to show you this graph right here and come with the argument, hey, interest rates are extremely high, guys, like it's horrible, without you knowing the history of interest rates. You probably would agree with me, right? Because based off of this graph, we all can clearly see in 2020, it was 3.86%. And then you see a drop here go into those mid 2.9s and then just shoot up. Many of us just lack the knowledge of what has happened in the past, and that's perfectly okay. That is why I wanted to educate everybody on what is going on to give a different perspective so we can better understand things to move forward. But I definitely miss them low interest rates too. Now, after seeing what I just showed you, I want you guys to comment down below. Do you still think that her interest rate is outrageous? For me, that puts it in perspective. Like, it could always be worse. We could definitely have interest rates in the 15s. When they was up in the 18s, just forget about it. Because the cost of homes already is too high. But with the 18% or even the 15%, you can count me out. You can count a lot of us out for that price. Because what?
So I'm not going to tell you exactly how much we pay in a mortgage out of respect for my husband, because he doesn't really like talking about finances. So me even doing this is a little like, but most of this is my debt and my fault, and I'm not going to fault him for it.
Big ups to her for respecting her husband on that.
So the reason I didn't pay off the windows is because we paid off the cars, and the window payment monthly is only $240. So it made more sense to pay off the cars and have $1,300 extra a month than it did to pay off the windows and only have $240. Next loan is about $14,800, and that is just in consolidated debt from things that were years ago. So that's the consolidation loan from previous debt.
Yeah.
So in total, I have about $62,929, and I would love to start paying that off. I'm terrible with money, but in the last couple months, I've really gotten better at that because my credit cards are maxed out, so I don't have anything to lean on. If I don't have the money, I can't buy it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've gotten a lot better. I've been able to really think about things like when I'm buying them. I've really asked myself, will this make a difference in our day-to-day life? Or is this just something that I'm seeing online? Or is overconsumption just getting to me? And I've really been able to do a lot better with that.
She said a mouthful, y'all. She said she maxed out the credit cards. She ain't got no more credit cards to lean on for all the spending that she was doing before. Essentially, her back is against the wall. And for those of y'all who don't understand what maxing out your credit cards means, let's say she only was given $1,000 on that credit card. She used all $1,000 already. Ain't no more left to be had. Now, could she go and ask for an increase? She could be able to do that. The credit card companies might be a little bit hesitant to increase your limits, to give you more credit, especially if you max them all out and you're not even making payments. Because people who tend to do that file bankruptcy. Some people actually get credit cards with no plans to make their payments. They just think it's free money. They're just swiping away. The credit card companies make their money by charging interest to people who are not paying off their balances in full every month. If you pay off your credit card in full every month before the end of your billing cycle, you are who they hate to see. You are their least favorite customer. The whole point of them giving you this money is in hopes that you don't pay it off before the end of your billing cycle. They want to collect interest off of you. And they're hoping that you don't understand that that is how you don't pay them interest. And you definitely can utilize a credit card the right way in order to help build up your credit score. But is that what most people are doing? Absolutely not. They're not. They have no clue what they're doing. Actually, let me show you something. Now, here we're on the website for Citibank, and it says here, how to avoid interest on your credit card, y'all. The knowledge is all online, and it's free. It's a Google search away. If you want to know how to be better with money, you can take the time to look at a bunch of foolishness every day. Take some time to look into your personal finances to figure out how you can put yourself in the best financial situation. Care about you more than anybody else. Because I can tell you right now, nobody else is going to do it. Now, ways to avoid credit card interest or pay less in interest. I don't want y'all to pay less than interest. I don't want you to pay at all. But let's get into it. Many credit cards have a what? A grace period. Grace periods are the period of time between the end of a billing cycle and the payment due date. Now, how can you figure out what your billing cycle is? Call your bank. I don't want no excuses. If you have a credit card, save this video, come back to this part right here. Call your bank up and say, hey, when does my billing cycle end? When does it start? When does it end? You want to know how much time you have to make that payment interest-free. I have mine written down in a calendar. It's in my notes. I know by a certain day, I need to pay off that credit card on this day. Not a cent gonna be left on that credit card every single month. Rinse and repeat. We all have different dates for each card and for each person. Ask them what yours is. Mark that start and end date. Make sure by that end date, you've paid off your credit card all the way. Not a red cent left, because you don't want to give the bank a cent if you don't have to. This is going to help you build your credit. This is how you're going to be able to build better habits as far as your finances go. Now, what else does it continue to say? During this grace period, you won't be charged interest on new purchases if you didn't carry a balance from your last billing cycle. The key word here was many credit cards have a grace period. I don't know about your credit card because you got to call them. Everything ain't one size fits all. So call your people and ask them what they got for you. And if they have a grace period, you need to know what that is too. And it goes on to give you guys the answer to the test by saying, pay off your balance entirely within the grace period, and you can avoid paying any interest on any purchase. However, this only works if you pay off your statement balance in full each month by its due date. Make it your business to try to do that each and every month. If you can't pay off the full thing, try to pay off as much as you can. The less balance you have, the less balance you get charged. It's simple math.
We do have a lot of animals. I do have 2 horses. All of you are probably like, why the fuck did you get all these animals then? I have a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, PTSD, those types of things. And the animals help me. So I've always wanted some of these things. We were able to figure it out and squeeze it in. Am I being squeezed to my absolute limit, paycheck to paycheck, sometimes more than paycheck to paycheck? Yes. But I will say the animals kind of pay for themselves. So like the chickens, we sell a lot of eggs. That pays for the feed for almost all of our animals. So the animals kind of even themselves out at that point. Okay. That's where I'm at. So this is day 9 of me posting every day, but it's the first day that I'm going to go. I did a deep dive into my financials and why I want to pay off all this debt. I would love to have some extra money just to be able to put my girls in some extra things. We do have a great support system. We do have family that's able to help, but we want to do this on our own. So you can make money off of social media. I'm doing what everybody else is doing and I'm trying, but yeah, I'm in a lot of debt and I know a lot of people are. So I just want to let y'all know you're not alone. And if you want to learn from my mistakes, hit that follow button because we learning here.
And shout out to her for being so authentic and raw in this video. I absolutely love it. This is her social media right here. I wanted to go look at some of these comments. Lots of encouraging comments. Someone here says, I'm right here with you. We've got this. And that's the type of energy you need. Definitely got to stay positive during the times where you are trying to reach a financial goal. Don't let anything distract you. Don't let anything discourage you. Someone here in the comments says, ma'am, are we the same person? Those debts you listed kind of mirror mine, including the windows in the house. I no longer feel alone. I feel this one. Y'all, this is what I be saying. I know a lot of y'all are like, what is the code in order to have good success on social media? She just being, you see there wasn't no fakeness about this. She was telling the raw, real experience she was having, even down to the animals, was relatable to somebody out there. People want to feel understood. People want to feel like when they watch somebody that they can see themselves in that story. That's why I like to share these debt stories, because a lot of y'all are these same people. You just haven't shared your story online. And not saying you have to. It's perfectly fine if you want to remain private. And that's why I find it refreshing also, because I'm a dog mom. I'm somebody who gonna run up a bag about my dog too. I get it. However, I don't advocate to get a dog. If you don't have one and you're broke, don't do it. There is somebody watching this that is the bad spender in their marriage, the one running up the debt, the one that is emotionally spending, and your spouse is the responsible one, the one that saves money, the one that's going to be looking at you like, what did you do? You went and did what at this store? You went and bought what toy? Some of y'all are that spouse, and she is representing you right now. When you see this lady, you see yourself. You see your habits. Some of y'all emotionally spend. You're having a bad day. You know you're broke. You're going to go run up the credit card anyway, just like her. Point is, sometimes we're a little bit more alike than we like to think, because a lot of us like to think we're perfect, but we're not. Nobody's perfect. She's not perfect either. Nobody you watch on social media is perfect. If they try to act like they are, it's all a lie. Don't fall for it. And the best thing you can do, and I find that one of the best things you can do, is be honest and take accountability, because at that point, you're being realistic with where you are, so you can be realistic about where you want to go and how you're going to get there. But if you lie to yourself and you say stuff like, I'm doing just fine, everything's going to figure itself out. Somebody's going to come save me. It's not my fault how I ended up here. It's this person. They did this. That's why I'm here. I had no dog in the fight. You're going nowhere fast. You're going nowhere fast. A lot of this is about mindset. If you change your mindset, you might find you get different results. You listen to different people about how they're spending money. You might pick up some habits and start to realize some truths about your financial habits. your financial education, your financial literacy or lack thereof. You might find out that you're not as good with money as you thought you were. And that is okay, because we were all raised in a system that benefits off of the fact that we don't have financial literacy and lack financial education, and that we come from families that don't teach us this stuff. They benefit from the fact that you are distracted with everything else except how to do better and to be better, how to get yourself out of debt cycles. That keeps you stuck. And by the time you realize it, you're deep in debt. You didn't have to file bankruptcy. You done maxed out the credit cards. And then you end up on TikTok with the sad story, or you end up in bankruptcy court. And I don't want that for anybody. But people like this are brave. Sharing their stories is helpful to people that are in their stories, because more people are in these sort of situations than not. And you know, I was going to show you some stats on this, right? You just had to know that. Now, this is a recent Forbes article actually published April 28th of 2025. And if we just scroll down here in this part of the article where it says average American credit card debt per person, it says here, according to TransUnion, one of the biggest credit card reporting agencies in the U.S., the average credit card debt per American in 2025 was a whopping $6,455. And it says that is actually up $194 since last year. And you want to know the part of this article that just makes me want to is this part right here. The average credit card interest rates on these accounts with balances assessed interest is 21.91% in February of 2025. And that was according to the recent data from the Federal Reserve. Now, if you continue to read, it says if you make payments of $150 a month on a balance of $6,455 with an APR of 21.91%, you'll more than double what you owe within an extra $6,477 in interest, and will take you 87 months to pay off the whole thing. And don't worry, I did the math for you. That would take you 7.25 years if you're making payments of $150. This is why it's dangerous to make minimum payments, y'all. And why I like to remind you all that credit card companies are not your friend. They're in this to make money. This is anything but free money. This is that hurt. And I don't want you to feel paid. So please pay off your credit cards, y'all. Please. That was only on $6,000 something dollars. Imagine if it was 20. Imagine if it's 30. Imagine if it's 40 or 50. And this is what some people have. So imagine what they'll have to pay. This is just something I want you all to keep in mind so you can find yourself in a better financial situation and avoid these sort of things, y'all. And if you found this video helpful, I ask you to please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you comment down below, what did you think about this whole thing? Did you think that her story was relatable? And last but not least, are you also on a journey to pay off your credit card debts or your loans, student loans, whatever the case may be? Comment down below. But we have to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.